Diddy tried to sue Netflix for $1 billion over footage he didn't even own. And now the real person who gave Netflix the tapes has finally spoken out. And baby, it only makes things worse. In this video, we're breaking down Diddy's crumbling $1 billion lawsuit against Netflix, how a weekend freelancer may have tanked his entire legal strategy, and why this might be the stupidest self-own in hip-hop history. If you had to guess, what's worse, being exposed by Netflix or being exposed by your own camera crew? Comment below with Diddy did that if you think this lawsuit's going nowhere fast. Netflix aired explosive documentary scenes of Diddy allegedly plotting witness manipulation and PR spin, and now the bad boy mogul is crying foul, claiming copyright infringement and privacy violations. But here's the twist. The footage didn't come from a leak. It came from a freelancer who says they handed it over willingly. You can't claim theft if you gave it away. This isn't just a legal misstep. It's a catastrophic self-own from a man who built his empire by controlling the narrative. He's no longer the director of his image. He's the subject of a case study. Here's where it gets messier. Diddy's own documentary filmmaker now admits he left the project in the hands of a freelancer for just 3 days, and that's all it took for Netflix to walk away with gold. The freelancer, not bound by any work-for-hire contract, had the legal right to license the raw footage. That footage, yes, the same clips where Diddy allegedly jokes about Harlem, jury tampering, and needing a hot bath, ended up in Netflix hands, fair and square. 3 days undone, 3 decades of control. And the worst part? Diddy might have had no legal ownership over any of it. The footage wasn't stolen. It was signed away. A $1 billion lawsuit. Try a $1 billion HR failure. Diddy has always had cameras around, but this time, the footage wasn't documenting a legacy, it was capturing his liability. Allegedly, he was caught on camera discussing legal strategy, influencing public perception, and possibly tampering with witnesses, all in stunning HD clarity. What makes this worse is that it's his own production. Diddy greenlit this behind-the-scenes doc reportedly to control the narrative. Instead, it turned into a masterclass on incriminating yourself with timestamps. When you love cameras, they don't always love you back. Netflix didn't flinch. They didn't pull the footage. They didn't even acknowledge Diddy's $1 billion tantrum like a threat. Instead, they pulled out receipts, licensing agreements, contracts, and statements from the freelancer who handed over the files. Their legal position? Ironclad. And here's why. The footage wasn't hacked, stolen, or smuggled out. It was licensed, legally, cleanly, and with full paper trails. Diddy's side hasn't even denied that part. You don't threaten lawsuits when you're bluffing against a corporation that loves discovery. Netflix's legal team is daring Diddy to file, because if he does, they get to go through everything. Let's break down the legal grenade Diddy accidentally threw at himself. In copyright law, whoever creates the content owns the content, unless there's a signed work-for-hire agreement. And guess what? There may not be one. Diddy's filmmaker admitted that a freelancer shot the footage, but without a work-for-hire clause, that freelancer owns the raw material. That means Diddy was waiving a $1 billion lawsuit about footage that, legally, was never his. You can't sue for stolen property if it was never yours to begin with. The law doesn't care how famous you are. It cares who owns the camera and the contract. No paper trail, no case. Diddy's second claim, that Netflix used his image without consent, a violation of his right of publicity. But here's the kicker, that protection evaporates the second you become part of a newsworthy story, especially one involving serious criminal allegations. Courts have ruled time and time again, if it's a matter of public concern, your face isn't off limits. This isn't a commercial, a fragrance ad, or a tour poster. It's a documentary linked to a federal investigation. Publicity laws don't protect you from the truth. His attempt to reclaim control over his image ignores the fact that he made himself the headline. In court, being famous doesn't shield you, it spotlights you. Now, here's where it gets downright embarrassing. Diddy hasn't even filed the lawsuit. For all the noise about a $1 billion case, there's no court filing, no injunction, not even a basic complaint on record. It's all press release. No paperwork. If this was truly about stolen property or irreparable harm, Diddy's lawyers would have filed an emergency injunction to pull the documentary offline immediately. But Diddy's been stalling, and legal analysts know why. Filing would open him up to discovery, and that's the last thing he wants. Here's what happens if Diddy actually files. Netflix gets access to everything. That means subpoenas for texts, hard drives, emails, call logs, and hours of raw footage, including any clips that didn't make it into the documentary. They get to depose the freelancer, interview the original filmmaker, pull every production note, and yes, they can play the raw clips in open court. Discovery is where billion-dollar reputations go to die. This isn't about defending his image. It's about preventing more damage. Diddy's legal team knows what's on those tapes, and they'd rather eat nails than let a federal court see them. Let's not forget the Mark Agnifilo moment. Diddy's own high-powered attorney, yes, the one who's been defending him in public, reportedly found out he was secretly recorded by Diddy himself. According to multiple sources, Agnifilo was furious when he discovered footage of him, unbeknownst, unapproved, and unfiltered, was in the hands of Netflix. And that footage, it allegedly includes strategy discussions, legal opinions, and moments never meant for public consumption. Diddy didn't just turn on the cameras, he turned on his own lawyer. That's not just messy, it's legally radioactive. And it explains why this lawsuit still hasn't seen the light of day. A legal expert said it best: Diddy's lawyers would rather drink battery acid than enter discovery. And you know what? They might not be exaggerating. Discovery isn't just subpoenas. It's a deep, invasive excavation of everything that touches the case, especially if the subject is a high-profile figure under multiple investigations. Every phone call, every script note, every PR meeting, all of it becomes fair game. If Netflix gets discovery, Diddy doesn't just lose the lawsuit, he loses the script. That billion-dollar case would become a courtroom film festival of Diddy's darkest moments, a documentary within a documentary, with federal prosecutors in the front row. Let's put all the legal jargon aside and ask the most obvious question: where's the injunction, Diddy? If this documentary was truly damaging, and if this footage was illegally obtained, Diddy should have filed for an injunction on day one. An injunction is how you stop irreparable harm before it happens, especially in defamation or IP-based cases. But again, silence. No emergency motion, no cease and desist, just headlines and hopes. You don't stall on the legal trigger if your house is on fire. So let's flip the script. If Diddy won't file that injunction, maybe it's because he can't. And that says everything. What do you think? Drop a comment below. Should Netflix be forced to pull the doc? Or did Diddy dig his own grave with this footage? Diddy's case isn't legal, it's emotional. It's a man trapped in a cell watching his image shatter into meme-worthy pieces on Netflix, while his own camera crew quietly shrugs. My bad, he claims theft, but there's no theft. He claims privacy violations, but it's in the public interest. He claims he'll sue, but he won't. This isn't a courtroom battle. It's a billionaire meltdown on mute. The law doesn't bend just because your ego's bruised. Now here comes the moment of full collapse. Diddy's own filmmaker has publicly admitted that they left someone else in charge for just 3 days. That someone was the freelancer who licensed the footage to Netflix. Not a hacker, not a whistleblower, just a person holding the camera who happened to have more legal rights to the content than Diddy ever did. Diddy didn't lose the tapes. He delegated them into oblivion. Let that sink in. 30 years of image control, undone by a long weekend and a missing contract clause. This wasn't sabotage. It was sloppy management in real time. Netflix may have had more legal rights to the footage than Diddy himself. The freelancer didn't steal anything. They licensed it. The raw media wasn't ripped, leaked, or blackmailed out of a studio. It was given over through a legal agreement, probably because they owned it from the start. The law doesn't reward the famous, it rewards the documented. So while Diddy screams about theft and privacy, Netflix is sitting pretty with contracts, timestamps, and airtight chain of custody logs. This isn't a crime, it's a transaction. If you want to own the footage, don't forget to sign the paper that says so. Let's be honest, this isn't just a failed lawsuit. It's a full-on blame game wrapped in desperation. Diddy pointed fingers at Netflix, at the cameraman, at illegal acquisition, but none of it sticks. The documentary didn't violate him. It simply aired footage from his own world, shot by his own team, given up by his own freelancer. This isn't theft. This is accountability in high definition. In the end, the lawsuit isn't about rights. It's about regret. Diddy didn't lose control of the story. He never had it to begin with. Diddy did create something worth $1 billion. He just doesn't own it. He built the lifestyle. He rolled the cameras. He gave the quotes. He crafted the image. But when it came to legal protections, he slipped. Now, that $1 billion empire, it's a Netflix property, not a courtroom weapon. You can control the party, but you can't edit the footage after the lights come on. The empire crumbled not from sabotage, but from self-recorded collapse. So what did we learn? You can be rich, powerful, and media trained, but if you forget to lock up the basics, a freelancer with a USB drive can end it all. Diddy's lawsuit never stood a chance. Not in court, not in public opinion, and definitely not in discovery. This wasn't a takedown, it was a setup from inside the house. And if you think this saga is over, just wait. The cameras were rolling, and somebody still has the footage. Subscribe to Celebrity Unraveled. We've got more coming soon.